Thank you for joining me today. My name is Mary Beth Masenda. I am the Program Director for the Integrative Health Studies Department at Maryland University of Integrative Health. I'm also an Associate Professor and have been teaching in online higher education for the last 10 years. At Maryland University of Integrative Health, I also hold the role of the Faculty Fellow for Technology, with a passion for integrating technology into the online learning experience. Today, I will share with you how our small university developed an artificial intelligence literacy framework to support our faculty, especially our adjunct faculty and clinical practitioners whose time and their experience with pedagogy is often limited. I created this framework to help them to navigate the collaboration with artificial intelligence in higher education. Our journey may provide some insights for other universities who are facing similar challenges. To start, it's helpful to better understand a bit about our university. Our institution is a small nonprofit, primarily online university specializing in complementary and integrative health. Our faculty consists of about 120 educators, about 75% of whom are part-time adjuncts or clinical practitioners. These factors help shape our approach to AI literacy in our faculty. Because of this required balancing the needs for technological adoption to prepare our students for their future careers with the realities of faculty workload, variations in experience with both teaching and technology, as well as our own limited resources. My goal today is to share our experience with the emergence of artificial intelligence to help you to first, identify key components of an AI literacy framework for faculty development. Second, develop strategies for integrating AI policy at both the institutional level as well as the course level. And third, explore some practical tools and resources to support AI literacy in diverse academic contexts. Just like a great meal starts with familiar ingredients, AI literacy doesn't require starting from scratch. Small universities don't need massive budgets or tech teams to empower faculty with AI skills. Instead, by leveraging existing resources, including faculty curiosity, collaborative spaces, as well as practical applications, we can create an AI-ready environment for our faculty. Now, imagine stepping into your kitchen, ready to prepare a meal. But instead of starting with an elaborate grocery list and specialty ingredients, you take a look at what's already in your pantry. Cooking isn't about having the most exotic spices or the latest kitchen gadgets. It's about understanding the flavors, the techniques, and tools you already have to create something really satisfying. The same is true for small universities who are faced with needing to support their faculty in developing AI literacy and in developing AI policies for their own university in this rapidly changing higher education field. It's not unlike working moms coming home and needing to decide what's for dinner. Overworked faculty, especially adjuncts who are teaching part-time, have limited capacity for change. But faculty don't need to be tech experts. They don't need to study long hours or have access to cutting-edge tools or make big changes to their courses in order to begin to develop their own AI literacy. Just like a good cook can whip up a great dish with basic ingredients, faculty can boost their AI literacy skills using curated resources already at their disposal, starting with tasks that help them with their own time management or ways to improve productivity to support the transformation we are seeing in higher education. Today, we'll explore our university's AI literacy framework, our recipe for success. By working with what we already have in our faculty kitchen, with the right mindset and a few simple techniques, we can transform everyday teaching tools into powerful AI-infused learning experiences. So let's get cooking. I think it's helpful to start by exploring a little bit about what is AI literacy and why it matters. It's important to note that AI literacy is not about becoming a data scientist. We don't need our faculty to be experts in data and technology. It is about understanding how the AI works and its potential, by understanding its limitations, and by also thinking about the ethical use of AI in higher education. Faculty can start really small and begin to integrate AI tools to enhance productivity as well as pedagogy, with a focus on preparing students for a work environment that's going to be integrated with artificial intelligence. But we also have to ensure that foundational knowledge and skills are not lost in the process. In fall of 2023, like other universities, we were faced with how are we going to navigate the changes in higher education in online learning, with the increased accessibility of artificial intelligence with large language models like OpenAI's ChatGPT, which were gaining rapid adoption across multiple sectors, including education. Those were really crazy times, and advancement and innovation in the field of artificial intelligence hasn't slowed down at all since then. It just seems to be changing so rapidly every single day. We didn't have internal experts or a computer science department or data analysts or data scientists who could help us with this shift that we're seeing in higher education. So we looked at what we did have in place and started to support our faculty in developing their own AI literacy through exposure to AI. As Ethan Mollick suggests, the best way for faculty to learn about AI is to actually use it. So our university's AI literacy framework had three main pillars. We focused on training and resource curation, policy and ethical guidance, and then faculty engagement and exposure. Any good dish starts with a recipe. We needed to see what ingredients we had, then prepare those ingredients or prepare a mise en place. Next, we needed to write the directions and finally make some suggestions on how to serve this information to our faculty to teach them about the emerging tools to support their own development. Now, we felt this professional development and hands-on experience were really an essential first step before initiating any training that we would be focusing on to support students in developing their AI literacy. The first ingredient we needed for our initiative was human resources. This is a challenge most organizations face when starting any project. At our university, we started by identifying faculty who had shown interest in the past as early adopters of technology. We already had some knowledge of these super users through the creation of our Faculty Fellow of Technology role that was created back in 2019. And this role supported our faculty in the review of different educational technology, as well as training faculty on how to use that technology in the classroom. Now, this particular position was funded by some course releases for that ranked faculty member. This role was actually in place before ChatGPT emerged in 2023, which positioned us really well for quickly being able to take an opportunity to look at artificial intelligence, discuss artificial intelligence, and make some recommendations for the university on how best to move forward. Now, this evaluation of what was already in our pantry provided us with the ingredients needed in order to create our recipe. Now, because we already had a faculty fellow for technology, we didn't need to reinvent the wheel. Instead, we could expand the role of that employee and have them shift and focus on artificial intelligence and developing artificial intelligence literacy. Now, this had some benefits. It allowed us to have really rapid response because we could shift their focus and begin looking at the adoption of the different tools of artificial intelligence that were emerging at that time. It was also cost effective because we were leveraging an existing leadership position for that. So there was no new funds that needed to be allocated in order to address this emerging need. Finally, I think what was really beneficial for using this faculty fellow for technology was that there was already a peer mentorship relationship between the faculty fellow for technology and the faculty. And so this created an easier way of encouraging this adoption of this new technology, even among some of our more hesitant faculty, because we had already started building that relationship. And so this grassroots approach helped us to create a really sustainable artificial intelligence literacy model without requiring like a dedicated fund or budget or technology department in order to address this. We also had others on the faculty staff with backgrounds in using technology and advanced degrees in higher ed with a focus on technology. And these super users helped provide that personal touch if they were already using the artificial intelligence in their own personal lives. And so this was a ready resource as well that we could tap into and use to support our faculty. Now, we did start with a survey back in 2023 in the fall, where we were looking for those hidden talents that we already had in our faculty. And so this helped inform our university's next step, which was to introduce our university staff to the emerging technology. And we did this by focusing on various different meetings in different departments. This provided us with the directions for our recipe, and we did this through meetings and the training for each of the unique use cases that were showing up across the university. Now, the faculty fellow, with the assistance of other faculty who were the early adopters of this emerging technology, we gathered and we went to meetings like Faculty Senate. We met with university employees as a whole. We talked to Student Affairs Department, as well as focusing on individual academic departments who had different needs or different concerns related to the use of artificial intelligence. And these meetings focus mostly on, in the beginning, like the basics, like what is AI? And what are some of the ethical concerns? And how is it impacting higher education? And how might it be impacting their own jobs, as well as how to advance student career readiness for our students? We also planned a spring of 2024 all faculty meeting, and this was training that we offered all of our faculty. We designated different levels, so we had beginners, intermediate, and advanced sessions that focused on how to use artificial intelligence within their jobs. And these were designed as like really short 30-minute presentations. We wanted to keep the presentation lecture part really short, and we included hour-long workshops where there actually was hands-on application, so faculty got some firsthand experience through these trainings. Now, the next step was to begin to curate the resources that we were gathering and the applications to better inform the university about the use of this technology and the impact it would have on higher education. These super users were already using AI in their personal lives or professional lives, and so they were sharing their information with the faculty fellow, as well as faculty fellow was we were creating things as well, and this then was used to design and decide on some criteria that we would use in order to make sure that whatever we were recommending would be the best fit for our faculty. So some of the criteria we were using was including a focus on accessibility. We wanted to make sure there was an emphasis on free options to ensure that our adjuncts and our future students would not be required to pay additional fees to access these tools. That was really important for us. And also kept our budget really low because we, as an institution, were not introducing artificial intelligence tools. There was also a focus on making sure there were clear use cases, that we developed the use cases first before introducing a tool. And so some of This included focusing on our faculty who are researchers and how they could use various tools to support their research, as well as brainstorming the creation of content, like refining learning outcomes or course descriptions, as well as creating analogies to help explain content in various ways for our students. We also wanted to prioritize tools that would support active learning. So these were the criteria that we were emphasizing and focusing on in the process of curating these tools. Now, we did emphasize applications like Consensus AI and ResearchRabbit that were really useful for our faculty researchers. They seem to be early adopters, and so that was a really easy way to start transitioning faculty and seeing how it could be applied in their work. And we also spent more time emphasizing the large language models over the specialized educator applications. This was primarily because early in 2023, a lot of those applications for educators that were specialized for educators were geared more towards the K through 12 educators, and so didn't really have a lot of applicability for higher ed. We also found that those applications tend to come with some subscription fees, and so those also didn't meet some of our criteria for inclusion in our curated resources. Now, some of this has changed. We do have some accessible models that applications that are for higher education that we have introduced since then. But this is something that we wanted to be careful about and make sure that our faculty were educated on some of the limitations of those earlier models, especially when it came to some of those educator models that were never updated as AI was improving. They didn't follow as quickly as some of the large language models in the development and the advancements that were being seen. So a couple ways we shared this information of these curated resources for our faculty included we had a SharePoint site already in place from the Faculty Fellow of Technology. We already had a faculty information hub, so it was easy to start posting some blogs about the use of artificial intelligence. So that was a really easy way to get that information to our faculty. We also published some Notion web pages that our users were creating, our super users were creating to share out their use cases or ways that we used it in the training, and gave really hands-on ability to explore these models and use cases. And then finally, we also utilize Microsoft Teams, the lists to list out different AI applications, but also including some of those use cases as well, so that our faculty could look at that list and how they might find, oh yeah, I need that use case. That would be useful for me. And so they be more readily willing to adopt or to experiment with one of the applications that we shared. So those are just some of the ways that we brought those resources, the human resources, the connection points, and the curation of resources and application to start off this process for our recipe. Fully implement change in the classroom, however, we needed to ensure we had clear policies for students on the use of artificial intelligence. So we gathered our champions and created a working group to advise the university administration on policies for using artificial intelligence ethically. This became our cookbook to guide faculty and students on ethical use of artificial intelligence in the classroom. Our working group gathered policies from other universities and discussed the unique needs of our own department and our own university. This multidisciplinary team included representatives from each of the departments, but it also included invitations to our IT department, as well as our instructional designers, who also had something to say about the utilization of AI in the online learning experience. So this led to this adjustment of our university's academic integrity policy, and that was specifically focusing on, in addition to the how to define AI's limitation in the use of it as an authoritative source. So we put in our academic integrity policy that relying on artificial intelligence as an authoritative source would be considered cheating. And so that provided some framework for prohibiting or limiting its use in the classroom as a source of information for student work. The policy, however, also provided some room for some flexibility by including the ability for the instructor to define the use of AI in their particular course. So this was actually put into the policy so that faculty who may need it for specific career readiness applications in the classroom actually had the opportunity to do that. So this naturally led to departments meeting to explore the unique needs within their department. We identified courses which provided foundational knowledge that would be required for critical use of AI in their discipline. And these courses may choose to actually restrict the use of AI so that they could build those foundational skills and knowledge. Other cases where AI was restricted were in courses where practice for future board examinations were taking place. So if they're not able to use it on a board exam, then we wanted the student to be able to practice that board exam without the use of artificial intelligence. And so we restricted its use in some of those courses. One of our departments received guidance from their own accrediting organizations that actually included some languaging around preparing students to critically use and ethically use artificial intelligence. And so this really sparked some conversation on a departmental level to explore how do we map this out to meet the accrediting body's needs, but also to kind of see how we can develop the skills of the student over the entire curriculum map. And so that was something that we worked closely with that department, and they identified some potential places where they could start with just some conversations and sharing of literature about the impact of artificial intelligence on their department, but then also started crafting some discussions and some assignments where students were able to have the opportunity to engage with artificial intelligence. Other departments that may look at developing a more hands-on approach to the use of artificial intelligence were some of our business courses. This is where they introduced discussions or tailored the use of GPTs to support student career readiness, or courses which develop critical thinking skills like our research literacy to give them opportunities to be critical appraisers of the information that they're receiving and actually applying the foundational knowledge that they were learning. One of the policies we did adopt was that we would not use artificial intelligence detection tools. And with this was based on our university philosophy around healing presence, and with the knowledge that the current detection tools had some risk of false positives, we felt that this went against our university's values of healing presence. And so since we couldn't be 100% certain that the students had or hadn't used artificial intelligence to complete their work, we started with that assumption that they had not and opened up discussion with the student about their process and asking them how they went about completing their work. And this provided valuable insights and opportunities to help them develop their own ethical use of large language models and give them some opportunities to learn AI literacy as well. So this is just some ways that this showed up when we were looking at it from the department level and course level specific approaches to the diverse uses of AI throughout the programs. Now, some of our faculty also created course level policies, which then we shared through the Canvas Commons and could be adapted by any faculty member who wanted to maybe adopt it or bring it into their own course and then use it for their own program and their own course level needs. So this three-pronged approach of using university level policies as well as departmental level focus and curriculum mapping, and then course level policy helped to ensure that we were preparing our students for success without jeopardizing those foundational learning skill development. Now that we've prepared our meal, so to speak, it was time for tasting. Ethan Mollick has suggested that it takes at least 10 hours using artificial intelligence to gain insights into what it can and can't do. We needed our resistant faculty to engage with AI. This spirit of curiosity and experimentation was one of the biggest barriers that we encountered. It started with creating a safe space, a space where experimentation can happen with the support of the Faculty Fellow for Technology as well as our super users. We created a shared collaborative space for our faculty on our Microsoft Teams environment. This included centralized location to share resources, share our experience with each other, as well as training recordings, as well as lists of AI applications that included use cases so that faculty could get started. The space was also used to spotlight different faculty who were adopting AI already into the classroom, and so this, or into their own work environment. So this was really useful to see how other faculty were actually using the artificial intelligence. As previously mentioned, we also shared assignments, resource pages, as well as course level policies on AI in our Canvas Commons to encourage the sharing of these resources and the adapting of these resources to their own courses. An approach recommended to our faculty to get started in really small ways was to replace that dreaded getting to know you discussion at the beginning of their course, which no student likes, to one that allows students to explore the ethical concerns and future implications of using AI as it related to the course's content. This approach was really great because it didn't require the faculty member to know how to use AI. It didn't require students to know how to use AI or to have any access to any software in order to engage with it. But what it did do was it allowed the two together to explore how this was affecting, or this emerging technology was impacting the content and the learning that was happening within their course. And so this was a great opportunity to have them explore that in that first discussion. Now, the last thing we did was implement a faculty AI club. And this was a live Microsoft Teams meeting where we shared experiences. We shared news, experiences, talked about challenges that we were encountering in the classroom. So it was a shared space where we could work through some of the challenges together. Now, we chose not to record these events to ensure that safe space and that open dialogue because we were talking about things we were not certain about, and we didn't want to inhibit people's conversations. We scheduled 2 sessions every month at different times so that we could accommodate different schedules. Our adjuncts who had non-traditional work schedules, as well as our ranked faculty who might want more regular schedules. We also encouraged faculty who attended the AI conferences to share what they had learned and bring it back to the AI club so that we could all learn from their experience. Some of the topics we have discussed in our AI club includes the need for clear communication with students about the use and restriction of AI in the classroom. We also talked about what to do when you think a student has used artificial intelligence without disclosing its usage. Another topic we explored was how to have conversations with students about artificial intelligence, especially if they were uncomfortable conversations, as well as discussing the biases and ethics of an academic integrity and how this all comes together when we're navigating in this collaboration with artificial intelligence. We also did some demonstrations of use cases with various applications. So as different applications that were relevant for higher education came to light, and we would bring those to the AI Club and demonstrate some use cases to get faculty excited about trying things out and exploring the new technology. Now, the goal here was to give our faculty this safe space for exploration, for experience, for practice, to help them with the application of AI in a space where we could do it together, and we can use that collaborative experience and supportive experience of the faculty peers to navigate this space together. I did want to share some success stories, faculty success stories. These are just 3 of many. I just chose a couple to share with you. These are various applications that were used within various different courses. You'll notice my name on some. That's because I was the faculty fellow collaborating on this, but the educator or the instructor was the initiator of the question, and together we worked on creating some tools and some approaches to help their students with their learning objective. So the first one was a faculty member who's collaborating with myself to develop a GPT for students to critically appraise their business elevator speech. There were GPTs out there on this, but they didn't really capture what was happening or the needs of the faculty member in this particular course. And so by working together, we could upload some of the course content into the GPT in order to guide the artificial intelligence into the best approach to supporting the students in that learning environment. That GTP was really focused on the student writing their elevator speech first and then uploading it to the artificial intelligence GPT to gain some feedback and collaboration to explore and to look at the pros and the cons of what they had created. Now, the second one example is a GPT that was created for supporting students who had just gotten through a collaborative experience together in their course. And so we use this as a way to do some metacognitive reflection for the students on the actual collaboration process. Again, this was tailored specifically for the course. Material was uploaded, and the focus was really on looking at the collaboration skills, specifically around interprofessional communication, as well as Tuckman's phases of collaboration. So this really gave us the ability to tailor what was needed for our students in using these GPTs. How this process worked is the faculty fellow had a paid account with OpenAI, and through the collaboration with a faculty member who didn't have the paid account and the students don't have a paid account, we could create the GPT on the paid account and then share that out, and then it could be embedded into the courses. And so that allowed us some of that flexibility to, even when we didn't have every faculty member having a OpenAI account, they still had the ability to create things and share them with our students. The third example or success story was one of our subject matter experts who was developing their course, or revising and redesigning their course on physical activity and health. They were using the Arizona State University's online AI lab application, which I do share in the resources at the end of this presentation, to help create the alt text for images. They would upload the image, the software would create the alt text, and this would help streamline their workload in making their PowerPoints accessible to students so that in the online learning environment. So that was another example. I think other examples that come up that are not listed here included a faculty who had a lot of written text on a page, and they would use ElevenLab to create an audio that would read through the text that gives the students who might have some attention focus challenges to be able to listen while they're reading so that they can keep their focus on the content. That was one of the other cases that was included, as well as helping students perform better because they can keep their focus on it. The other thing that these are just a handful of possibilities of ways to incorporate artificial intelligence. I would say the other thing that our faculty have been exploring is how to utilize it for use things like Consensus or Research Rabbit in order to find research papers that could be explored and critically appraised in our research literacy course so that we can see the limitations of the artificial intelligence in how it summarizes articles and discuss how that has an impact on the literature review process. So a lot of different ways that we are exploring that it can come up into our way of working. I would say the one other thing that in a more of a productivity approach is that we do have a value of healing presence in our university. So sometimes when we are have limited work capacity, right, and lots of going on, when we get that student email, and we want to make sure that we're responding in a healing presence way, we can upload our own definition of healing presence and our draft email into artificial intelligence and help to tone it, change the tone of the email in order to embody some of the principles that we are trying to embody, especially when we have a lot going on or things have gotten a bit stressful. So those are just some other ways we're exploring how do we use and interact and collaborate with artificial intelligence in order to support our students in their learning process. So why did we take this approach, and what has been the facilitators and barriers with this approach? We are a resource-limited university without a computer science department or data scientists. This necessitated an approach that leveraged existing resources. Our faculty fellow for technology allowed the utilization of this resource to shift towards helping to develop our faculty AI literacy. This involved a more cost-efficient implementation, which used mostly internal resources that were already dedicated to supporting faculty with technology. This approach also increased our institutional capacity as faculty felt comfortable engaging with AI more because they already had a working relationship with the faculty fellow. And as I said, this grassroots approach helped us to meet the unique needs of the university. The use of collaborative, non-judgmental space to create safety while faculty explored the ethics and the potential of using artificial intelligence was also foundational to facilitating their own development. Finally, the grassroots approach allowed us to respond rapidly. We're in a moment when things are changing very quickly. So we already had resources in place that could be shifted and adapted very quickly in order to meet this rapidly changing field in development of artificial intelligence. Faculty time constraints continue to be a barrier. Until faculty gain enough exposure with artificial intelligence, they can't see how it can impact their work. They see it more as additional work to be done instead of seeing how it can improve their own productivity. To address this barrier, we provide faculty with course level policies that they can adapt. So it's already there. They just have to make subtle changes to put it in alignment with their courses. We give them example prompts that they can explore and test out, and even share GPTs, as I illustrated in the spotlights, that they can use within their courses to help them with their personal needs within the course. There is still some faculty resistance with the use of artificial intelligence, as there is across the the United States. We mostly learn about these faculty from our engagement with our students, because they have a class with one faculty member and then a class with one of us who are more engaged with artificial intelligence. And so we have an opportunity to have some great discussions with the student to help them to understand why some classes need to help them build foundational knowledge and therefore restrict the use of artificial intelligence. And so the early days of large language models demonstrated the bias against many of the disciplines that are taught in our university. And so that gave an initial resistance with our faculty that we've had conversations about. And also our AI Club gives them the opportunity to see how it's changed and see how it's advancing and how we, as the human in the mix, can interact with the artificial intelligence to expand those perceptions and those different philosophies that may not be initially showing up in the responses, but can be expanded upon as we engage more with the artificial intelligence. There's also a perception that using artificial intelligence would be counter to our university's focus on a relationship-centered approach to care and student-centered teaching. That's something that we value highly and is one of our foundational values. We saw this same resistance in our students through course discussions, which is a great opportunity to explore this more deeply. How can we utilize artificial intelligence without sacrificing that relationship-centered approach? Our course discussions and faculty AI group provide that space where we can have those ongoing dialogues and share our experiences with this and to ensure we're still living into our values as we're in our teaching. So what's next? We're working on ways to measure the impact of our efforts at this time. We have implemented a number of surveys to faculty since 2023, but we're finding that across the board, faculty response to surveys is pretty low. So we're not really capturing who we want to be hearing from in those surveys. So we're implementing several other alternative approaches to gather some information from our faculty about their experience. The first is to gather course level policies and communications about artificial intelligence. This will give us a deeper awareness of where our faculty are in their awareness of the relevance of AI in their course learning environments. The second is to implement a process or a program where we could offer badges to encourage faculty to share what they are working on and their experiences. This system will allow faculty to share what they have worked on and allow others to nominate faculty to if they've noticed somebody's doing something unique in the classroom. So this really highlighting and spotlighting of faculty and lifting them up for the work that they're already doing is something that we want to make sure that we are encouraging through this badge system. The third step is to organize a departmental AI challenge. This is something we're really excited about. We want to make this fun, right? This event is an innovative initiative that's designed to enhance AI literacy, but also interdisciplinary collaboration, which is at the heart of our work as integrative health practitioners, and real-world AI integration among the faculty. The goal is to equip our educators with practical AI skills while fostering a culture of experimentation and shared learning. This initiative is intended to transform AI literacy development from this daunting, overwhelming task that has to happen into something really exciting and collaborative and that's not on one person, but a whole department can look at its application in their own discipline and how it can be relevant for their own program. So this ensures faculty are not only understanding AI, but also actively integrating it into their department in some really meaningful ways. So work on the badges and departmental AI challenge has been designed. We've already got the plans in place and a lot of the process in place. And these are expected to roll out in the next trimester and the fall trimester. So we're really excited about those next steps. All right, so what are our takeaways from our experience since 2023? I would say the first takeaway is to start small with what you have. AI development is moving really fast, and if we wait for major initiatives to be in place, we're going to miss it, and it's going to be too overwhelming to implement. And so start small, start exposing faculty and making sure that they are aware of what is AI, its limitations, its biases, as well as its potential. Important to find our faculty champions who are already using artificial intelligence in their personal or professional lives. Find ways to lift them up and find creative and collaborative culture that can help compensate them for their involvement and for their contributions. On curating news and resources that are relevant for our students and our faculty. There's a lot of information out there, and a lot of it's geared towards K through 12, towards business, towards things that are not really relevant to our educators. And so how do we find our many early adopters in higher education who are already out there sharing resources and share those with our faculty? It's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's so many people doing amazing work on this out there in higher education, having these really important conversations. Let's find them and share them with our faculty. Invest time on developing policies that actually align to our university, our departmental, and our course level learning objectives or needs. A policy which recognizes the varying needs of different levels of learning will prepare students to their future careers, which will inevitably include using artificial intelligence. So I've gathered some resources that we have gathered and curated and have helped us to support our own faculty. You can access these using the QR code or by clicking on the Notion web page I've created for you here on the slide. One of the things I ask my students to do is to be transparent in how they use artificial intelligence in their work that they are creating. For this presentation, AI helped me to streamline my research, structure some ideas, brainstorm ideas, and enhance the visuals that I shared with you in this presentation. However, human judgment and expertise were crucial in adapting AI's output for this presentation. This is exactly how we want our faculty and students to engage with artificial intelligence, thoughtfully and critically. Thank you for spending this time with me to explore how small universities can develop programs to support their faculty in developing the AI literacy. If you should have any questions or want to engage with me, I have my email here, and I welcome to hear more from you to see what you're doing and how you're implementing these approaches to collaborating and integrating artificial intelligence in higher education in order to support our students' career readiness, but also their learning within the classroom. Thank you for your time.